we're going to need for this project, we're going to need a Raspberry Pi £9.30 from the Pi Hut. Don't need headers, so don't pay for those. A Pi case, £2 or £3. A micro SD card, I got them cheap from Amazon. I don't know, 19 quid for 5 I think it was, something like that, maybe a bit cheaper. Don't buy expensive ones unless you know what you're doing, but if you know what you're doing you wouldn't be watching this video anyway. I managed to fry 2 of these trying to get this to work, so cheap and nasty is the answer in my opinion. Tiles, Bluetooth transmitters, doesn't have to be tile brand, anything will work. And a power supply, micro USB, doesn't have to be a wall wart like this one, can just be computer or any other USB power supply, and that's it. So the first thing we're going to do is pop the board into its case, because they're quite fragile, so we don't want to damage it. You've got to obviously make sure that the ports here line up with the outlets on the case there, so that needs to go in that way round. Okay, there are 4 little posts and 2 little clips that go around the edge of the board. And you just clamp it closed. So that's it, your board is safe, ready to go, and we're all good. Having done that, we're now going to put the micro SD card into its little caddy. It'll only go in one way round, and then we're going to pop it into the holder on the computer, and we're going to format it and set it up. Okay, first the software we're going to need. Going to need something called Balen etcher. Raspberry Pi do a similar sort of thing, but if you're going to do much of this, then other software and other applications tend to use etcher to do their boot drives, so this is the one that I chose. So there we go. We're going to download for Windows, and then once that's done we'll set it up. Okay, now we've got that execution file there, just double click on it, agree to the terms, and go ahead and install it. And that's that done. Right, I'm going to minimise that for now because we need to go and get the operation system for the Pi board. And to get that you need to put in Raspberry Lite, and that'll take you to ras.org and their downloads, and this is the one you want, OS Lite. The others will work, but we don't need the extra hassle that they might give you, so we'll wait for that one to download and be back in a second. Okay, now we've got that file, let's get it loaded onto the SD card. We'll plug the SD card into the card reader, and we'll bring up etcher. We're going to flash from file, and there it is. You don't need to unzip it at all. In fact, if you do it won't work, so just leave it. Open that, then you've got to select your target. I want that one. Select and flash, and let it strut its funky stuff. It'll decompress the file and then load it up to the card. We'll let it get on with it. So there we go, that's the OS on the card. And there it comes, it's on my iDrive there. So now we need to make a couple of extra files to put in there. Now to do that we need, I've actually got a couple of them made up here. You need Notepad, so new text document, And the first one, open it up and just put a space in there, and File, Save As, and what you want to call it is SSH, and the extension here, you want to put all files. You don't want it saved as a text document. So if we open up boot files Raspberry, your file should be in there, and notice it's still saved with the text extension. We really don't want that. So if we just click on it, we're going to rename it, and we're just going to get rid of the text extension. Just click yes, and that's it. That's your first file made up. Now for the next one. Again, another new text document. And open it up. Okay, you need to, in this one, you need to copy and paste the text that's in the description. I'll label it text 1. So, and in here, you need to put your Wi-Fi name in it. Leave the speech marks in, don't delete those. So just put Wi-Fi for instance, whatever your network's called goes in there, and then in there goes your password. Next, you need to save it. Okay, we need to save it, and it needs to be called wpa_supplicant.conf. For the next stage, those two files that you made, they need to go into the boot directory of your SD card. So that's down here, or whatever your SD card drive is called. Make sure that you don't put them in the overlays, they need to go in there. And literally just drag and drop them in. Now what those two files will do, the WPA one will allow your Raspberry to boot up to your Wi-Fi, and the SSH one will allow us to putty in there to set it all up for the Bluetooth configuration. So that's done now. We need to take the card out, put it into the Raspberry, power it up, and join the Wi-Fi. Right, so we have our boot card, and we need to put it into the Raspberry Pi. Do not do this with the power on. I've tried doing this. Taking the card out or putting it in with the power on is a big no-no. And then you've got two ports here. This one's for a video, HDMI, and then you've got data and power. We're just going to use the power one. And you'll see a little light flashing there. Hopefully that, if we've done it right, will join our internet. Now it will take quite a while to do it the first time, a couple of minutes or more, so be patient with it. Right, after a bit of a wait, you'll notice that the LED here will go steady, and that's a good indication that if we've done everything right, it'll be on your Wi-Fi and we're ready to go in there and start programming it up. Now, in order to log into our Raspberry Pi, we really need to find its IP address. There is a local address you can use, but I wouldn't recommend trying. Every time I tried, well, not every time, but probably 4 times out of 5 I didn't manage to log in, so I went and found its IP address. There are a couple of ways you can do this. You can use this program called Advanced IP Scanner. So the free version you want is here, and free download. I've already got it installed, and I'm sure you must know how to install the software on your computer, so I'm not going to do it. So once you've downloaded it, you just launch it and you type in your address range here. It's likely to be the same as mine, 192.168.112-254, and hit scan. Then it will scan your network and hopefully find all of your devices for you. And there's one here. And you let it do its entire scan, and it'll find your device. The other way of doing it, and the one that I prefer and find more reliable, is to log into your router. And then you need to find your ARP table, or your where all your IP addresses are. So you just scan down the list and you look for Raspberry Pi, and I happen to know it's going to be this one. This is one that I've already set up as a temporary measure. It's this one. Now I recommend that you reserve its IP address in the table, so you know where it always is, and if you ever need to log into it, it'll have the same IP address. I'm not going to show you how to do that here because your router will be different to mine. You'll have to look that one up elsewhere. Okay, so the IP address we want is 192.168.1.71. We're going to use that to log into the Raspberry Pi now. So we're going to log into the Raspberry Pi now, and to do that we need a program called Putty, which again is freeware. And here it is. And you download it here. Again, the link will be in the description, and then install it on your machine. So launch Putty. All of these settings will be correct. There's no need for you to change them. Default will be fine. And you just need to type in your IP address here. And hit return. Just click yes here. Your default login is always Pi. And the default password is Raspberry. So it's RASPBERRY. Hit return. That's all lowercase, by the way. Be in the description, and there, you're in. So the first thing it'll ask you to do is ask you to change your password from the default. The instructions are just here. Just type in password, PASSWD. It'll ask you for the original password, which was Raspberry. Then it'll ask you for your new password. Then it'll ask you to retype it. There we go. You've changed your password, and now we need to start programming and bringing the Pi